Back on the program, AEW is coming to town Wednesday at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum. AEW Dynamite. Pleased to be joined by Jeff Jarrett, WWE Hall of Famer, creator of TNA, Global Force, and now AEW member. Jeff, thanks for joining the show, man. How are you?
Good morning, guys. It's maybe a little tough pill to swallow. This old Middle Tennessee, Nashville boy, to be specific, be coming on a Vols station. Rough weekend, guys, but thanks for having me. And, yes, I'm absolutely looking for Wednesday night AEW bringing Dynamite to town.
Now, Jeff, I was going to start somewhere completely else, but I was going to say that you were kind of the first guy that made me feel seen as I was growing up. I remember you in the Frank Wycheck jersey, me being a Titans fan. I'm like, hell yes, we got some representation on TV. And I was going to start and say, what are we going to do with the number one pick? Who do you want to draft? But you had to come on and take some shots right off the beginning, okay?
Listen, yeah, truth be known, I'm obviously born and raised right outside of Nashville, but I've always been a huge Tennessee fan. I mean, this is definitely dating myself, but I go back to the Ernie and Bernie days. I go way, way back. I watched ball football. My nephew, Jackson Matthews, is actually a member of the ball team, so I'm big orange through and through. Pathead Summit, just an amazing run. I could go on and on. I know I'm here to talk about professional wrestling, but I love my Vols, but man, what a tough weekend and even tougher year for the Titans. So let's talk about some happy things on this Monday morning. You're bringing up Vols and Titans, or maybe I am. So.
A little hope, at least with the Titans' number one pick. I thought maybe, because I don't know, all day watching, all the quarterbacks yesterday. I was like, man, I really wish we could get one of those. I really wish we could get a Jaden Daniels or a Josh Allen. So, again, maybe some hope with the number one pick. But, yeah, we could talk some happier things. Are you at the point, though, where does everyone in your life know that you're a Tennessee fan, where they're, like, bothering you and talking trash to you this week after Vanderbilt beats them, or they kind of leave you alone?
Of course, yeah. The text lit up, and the Lady Vols, both of them were tough to defeat. So, of course, it always happens. But, we had a good run this year in ball and basketball, and I like to bug my Laker fans and talk about Connect and all that kind of stuff. But, yes, everyone knows I'm a Vol and a Titan fan. And, the disastrous year we had with the Titans, I'm going to say a lot of people talk about that number one pick. And I said, hey, let's start from ground zero and figure out. And I'm glad we got a new GM, and I'm hopeful there because, as we all know, it all starts right there with your coach and your front office. To put the organization together, and it's no doubt Coach Heupel. It kind of started with him, and he turned it around, and I'm excited about next year.
Jeff, you said talk about some happier things. MJF's been cutting some pretty bad promos on you last 2 weeks. I don't know how happy that is. Can we expect that to happen?
Look, you know me. You're a My World listener, and look, he wants to talk all his trash. That's all kind of recycled treads. Been there, done that, but I'm sure he's going to be bringing some trash talking like everybody else Wednesday. When Dynamite comes to town, I was just we were in Cincinnati last week, and I did some promotional work there, and again, I do quite a bit of promotional work, and Knoxville has such a rich history of professional wrestling, and I'm going back generations. But, even, the territory days, and then obviously the WCW days, and then as of late. But, AEW, we're going to be live, not just on TBS Wednesday night, kicking off at 8 o'clock, but live on Max. Professional wrestling has entered the streaming world, and it's truly the most diverse roster, and I've been around quite a few years. We have talent, tip-top talent from not only the United States, but Canada, Japan, Mexico, all throughout Europe, India. So it's really a diverse roster, males and females. It's a show. There ain't no doubt about it. It's a show from woe to go, and nothing but a lot of nonstop entertainment.
Yeah, we'll also have the Rock and Roll Express here tomorrow in studio helping promote the show. We're going to give some tickets away afterwards on social media, and then we will be there on Wednesday night. You're talking about the loaded roster. You're talking about this era of wrestling. Jeff, in your opinion, what sets this era apart from any years in the past that you've been involved with?
I like to give it, especially when I get to talk on Sports Talk, because I'm a sports junkie through and through. but it is the evolution of our industry, very much like, when you look at basketball and Steph Curry, you can credit him or give him partial credit. He just changed the game with his three-point shooting. The athleticism in professional wrestling now is nothing like anybody's really ever witnessed. Kenny Omega is the name that comes to the top of my mind out of Canada. But, I mean, he's so athletic and does things in the ring that weren't even considered not that long ago. Will Ospreay's another guy. So the athleticism is something that I believe is at the very top of the level. But to my advantage, wisdom hasn't changed either. And, the blocking and tackling, or in basketball, literally playing defense and who's going to win the rebound battle. Just the basics of our game will never change. We can say good versus evil, talking trash, but, our business is about creating emotion, and you do it through a number of ways. But athleticism, to me, sets this generation apart.
You talk about the athleticism being so great right now. Don't sell yourself too short. I went back last night and watched the 95 match with you and Shawn Michaels at In Your House 3. And you're pretty athletic. I didn't remember you being that athletic back then. I just remembered hating you. Sadly to say, I've changed since then. I've got a 180. But
I take that as a compliment. I've done my job right. But I played 1 year of college basketball. I hate to tell wrestling fans this, but I always joke. Basketball was my first true love. Absolutely, to this day, I'm a junkie. My daughter plays ball down at Berry College, D3. I love watching it, playing it, whatever it may be. But, yeah, back in the day, I had a few hops, but I transitioned over into professional wrestling and did my job and made you hate my ass.
Talking with Jeff Jarrett, VFL, host of the My World podcast with Jeff Jarrett. It's refreshing to hear the energy in your voice as you're talking about this current generation. I know you're still wrestling. I know you're still a part of it. But, like, so often, to keep with the sports comparison, especially, like, the NBA guys, they always talk about, this era is so much better. This new era is soft. This new era can't do this and that. For you to come on here and really, to still have the excitement for the business is refreshing to hear.
Well, I've looked at it, and I think, my grandmother was my first mentor, and my father was another mentor, and both of them would really harp on a couple of things about the basics will never change, but don't wish for yesteryear because it's never coming back. And, in our industry, in the late 90s, the Attitude Era, you can just kind of look at the numbers, and it was a different area. It was pre-social media, so the golden age of cable television. But those days are in our rearview mirror. And like I said, with WWE now on Netflix, not just seen nationwide, but literally global. We're on Max. We're seeing global. The business has never been this big. I mean, there's with our good old friend YouTube, you can watch wrestling 24/7. Last night there were a couple of pay-per-view events on. But our business, we used to be hopeful to get into pop culture or whatever it may be. Now, with the championship belts, and I'm not going to get into politics on a sports talk show. Matter of fact, I never want to get into talk about politics. But whatever side you're on, red or blue, if your favorite politician or the politician you hate the most, if you don't think they have some professional wrestling smack talking in you are living under a rock. But professional wrestling is, in so many ways, it is pop culture. I mean, we've had Shaq, we've had Mike Tyson. We've had our kind of folks in our ring in AEW. But, professional wrestling has come a long way, and I'm proud to say that I'm a third-generation promoter, and the business keeps just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
I say it all the time here, Talking Sports Radio, but everything is pro wrestling. Everything is related to it. You talked about the past eras. Do you see anyone – is there someone that stands out now that you wish you could have seen maybe in the Attitude Era to see how they would have fit in?
You know what? Just because it's a different time and place, to give back to our sports analogy, it's basketball season, so I could really go down a rabbit hole when you have these pro guys making the money they do, and their what do they call it? Their workload or rest load. And they got to take games off and all that.
Rest management.
But yeah, that's the biggest crock of. Don't get me started on that. But when you look at a Jordan and how many games he played. even when he played for the Wizards. I mean, it is truly a different era. Again, in the Attitude Era, we work 200-plus dates a year, probably a minimum. Nowadays, the workload is so much more, but that's across society. Just the world continues to change. And so it's up to me or us, or if you want to stay in the game, you got to adapt and move on. But any specific individual in this era to try to transplant them in another era, they would succeed in some areas, and in other areas they would absolutely fall by the wayside just because it's a different generation today. Speaking
of those two pay-per-views last night, did you ever in your TNA creation days see a crossover relationship like they announced last week with WWE?
Well, again, wise man builds his house upon a rock. Way, way, way back in the day when TNA got started in 2002, that name and the branding, and it was built, and it's gone through a lot of evolutions and everything. But, yeah, you just kind of see when you build things. And, again, my mindset, born and raised in the territory area, and then, when I launched Global Force, the collaborative effort of working together, the days of not really working together in that type mindset, it's just so yesteryear and passe. And at the end of the day, if you can create a scenario where the wrestling fan wins, we all win. And that's really what at the very core of all of it is. You got to figure out how you satisfy your customer. What a novel concept these days. But, the customer is always right. So if it's good for the customer, it's incumbent upon the business to figure out how to adapt and make it work for the bottom line.
What's been the difference trying to relate to the customer, in 2024, 2025 with the way social media is? Or is that something you try to, do character work on yourself, or are you, staying pretty much separated in everything you do on screen versus off screen? What's that been like?
Oh, boy. I don't know if we have an hour to talk about this, but at the end of the day, and thank goodness I've got the wisdom and been around a long time, is you have to listen to your paying customer. With social media, and not just in our business, I'm not talking about just the wrestling fan. I'm talking about across the board. You can create a narrative and you can create comments, but at the end of the day, are they buying a ticket? Are they buying a pay-per-view? Are they buying a T-shirt? Are they truly your consumer, or are they just creating chatter and opinion that's not even remotely fact-based? So I think your discernment is something you have to come into, and the best discernment at all is when you go to an event like we will this Wednesday night, and you hear the people. Now, those are people that, worked 8, 10, 12 hours that day, ran home, got a bite to eat, went through a drive-through, came down, going to have them a few adult beverages, and they're going to enjoy your product. Those people, you have to learn to listen to their ear because they're your paying customers. When you listen to people that aren't actually consuming your product, you truly are going down the wrong road.
It's almost like Jeff Jarrett is a long-time veteran and professional here in the business, because you're exactly right. I mean, it's like that in the sports radio business too. Like you hear the chatter from some fans that maybe don't like certain content you do, but you're like, okay, are you blocking out that noise and paying attention to the real paying customers, that your loyal base, the people you're trying to attract? And, of course, wrestling is that turned up to the 10th degree. Are you going to be in Knoxville Wednesday night for Dynamite?
Buddy, I wouldn't miss it for the world. I'm cranking up. I'll be heading up 40. I'll be hoping for both Vols teams to turn it around this week and get back on track. Man, I had a list of questions for you guys, and I'll leave for another conversation. Maybe I can come back someday. But Rod Slay's a buddy of mine, and I saw him in the airport not long ago, and he's going over to Charlotte. But just how deep the SEC is this year, it's going to be another one of those years that we beat up, just like football, we beat up on each other, and then come tournament time, the strongest survive. So, yeah, I'm going to be on the road. I'll be there. Can't wait. AEW Tix, that's with an X, AEWTIX.com. Get your tickets now. Wednesday night, I can't wait to get to the venue there. Been there many times, Coliseum, and I'm going to have a lot of fun. And bell time, the show goes live literally around the globe, 8 p.m. I think doors open at 6:30.
SEC basketball is what we've pretended SEC football is like over the last 4 or 5 years. Like just a complete bloodbath with just a lot of quality teams. We'd love to have you come back on and talk sports anytime, Jeff. Looking forward to seeing you Wednesday.
Appreciate you guys. I'll see you Wednesday night. Look me up, and maybe I'll bring a few extra guitars, and one of you guys will get a shot.
Oh,
hey, I do have a fantasy football punishment I need to be taking.
That is true. Headshot from Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Go Big Orange. See you guys.
VFL, AEWTix.com. We're going to give away some tickets on social media coming up after the show, so be looking for that both on X and Instagram. Tim, good job by you. Bubba, great job.
Always appreciate it.
Love the energy from Jeff.
He can bring it.
Like I
So
said,
he's pumped up.
almost like he's a Hall of Famer and a longtime veteran.
He
Knows a lot about wrestling and the business, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like he could kept on talking for a little bit if we wanted him to.
Yeah. All right, let's go to break. We'll come back. We'll wrap this show up. Last call on the other side. It's Talk Sports on FanRun Radio.
Every 40 seconds, a child goes missing somewhere in the U.S. You can help in the effort to find